Hey, Spencer, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on again. For the people, we'll link up to the previous episode about you scaling your agency. But for the people that have not listened to your first episode, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, and thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here. I run a digital marketing agency. The company is Builder Funnel. Origins come from direct mail. So my grandfather had a direct mail company. My dad bought it in the mid '90s. I got involved in 2009, and I had started a social media company kind of as a side hustle out of college. And he said, I just went to this conference and they said direct mail is going off a cliff. So I need to transform my direct mail company into what they're calling integrated direct marketing, something, I don't know. But they basically said, you need to get into digital. And so he said, you want to come figure that out over here? And so we started figuring it out. And few years in, we created the Builder Funnel brand because we realized like having a niche was really going to play to our advantage over the long haul. And then a few years after that, he sold off the direct mail side and we spun out Builder Funnel. And then I eventually bought him out and, kept charging for it. So that's where we are today.
Awesome. Well, today I want to talk about converting clients faster and easier, and eventually, obviously, making more money because a lot of people struggle with offering the wrong thing at the wrong time. And, I wanna talk about what was kind of your reason around doing your first foot in the door? Let's talk about that.
Sure.
And what was it?
Yeah. So, probably like many folks, I was stuck in the sales seat for a long, long time. And I would basically just build custom proposals for all of our, clients coming in or prospects, and I would do a discovery, and then, basically, if everything was looking good, I'd say, "Well, why don't I dig into your website, your analytics, and I'll build a custom, plan and proposal," and I would basically use our similar methodology and everything, but I would try to tweak the deliverables, adjust like the quantities, hey, you have more aggressive goals, we're gonna, spend more here. And then put that in front of people. And so my first step that got us out of that was productizing kind of a front end offer. And so we didn't call it a foot in the door. It was more like we need a way to systematize our sales process. And so I wrote a book, The Remodeler Marketing Blueprint, a few years ago, and I basically said, well, why don't we create a strategy plan product, and we called it the Remodeler Marketing Blueprint. And so the way that worked is people would pay a one-time fee. I think we started it at 20 grand. Right now, pricing is 15 grand for that. And we basically build a 1 year strategic plan, and then the client can either take it and run with it, or we can implement it for them. And we did try to really build in a ton of value if they did wanna do it themselves. We built out a whole Asana board that was basically like a checklist for a whole year, and it had links to all of our SOPs and training videos on how to do stuff, and so if they did wanna self-implement, like, they had the resources to do it. And then we basically were just like, "Let's see who moves into, monthly services," which is all we sold prior to that move. So that was step number 1.
You know, what was the conversion rate for selling from a prospect to selling that $20,000 project?
Yeah, from prospect, like, first discovery call
Yeah.
to that, it was probably in the, I don't know, 10% range or 15 or something like that. And then I think at the time, or for whatever reason, the first year we ended up selling the blueprint, it was like 35 or 40% moved into recurring services, but over about a year or so, it bumped up to like 70%, which is kind of what we thought. Cause we're like, most people don't want to do this stuff. They want us to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have just been a fluke of like the first time doing it, but um, yeah. So it was like 10 or 15% conversion into that, and then 70% conversion into the recurring.
Yeah. And so what changed? Because I remember when you were telling me this after the podcast, you're like, "Hey, Jason, I've been listening to your foot in the door thing," and then you told me about the foot in the door. I was like, and I asked the conversion rate. I was like, "Man, that's really not a foot in the door. That's like a really big project."
Yeah, it basically was like we landed a client, and that's how we looked at it, is, yeah, we were just going from prospect to client.
Yeah. And so what switched? What changed? You know, what was your foot in the door that you implemented, and like what were the, did the conversion rate go up, I presume?
Yeah, kudos to you guys because we basically just, stole your model, and
Borrowed.
yeah, borrowed, yes. Well, we used it as per your suggestion, I'll say. You basically were like, "Hey, here's how we do things. Maybe you could do something similar." And so that's what we did. We basically said, "Okay, well, why don't we just" um it basically becomes like paid discovery in a way. And so we have a true discovery call, which we put meetings on the calendar. Those are just booked for 30 minutes. We try to keep them to 15 to 20, but that's really just, hey, is this a good fit? Do we offer services that you need? Are we in the right industry? Are you the right clientele that we know we can help? If so, then we sell our marketing framework call. And the way we've structured that is it's a $497 call, and we have them send us some logins, get access to their analytics and a few other things, and then we set up. It usually takes about 90 minutes. Some of them go a little bit longer, and we do a pretty exhaustive, like, run through of their website. We pull up Ahrefs, dive into their SEO, look at their Google Analytics, look at their ads, but we walk them through the framework that we follow, which is just the attract, convert, nurture, measure, that we do all of our strategy plans based off of. And so at the end of that call, we basically say, "Hey, you've learned a lot. Take it and run with it." Two, you're like, "Great. I think Builder Funnel can help. Let's talk about like what that looks like," which then we just go to the blueprint, or, our website is called the foundation, and then into recurring services. Or three, we wasted your time, like, we'll refund you. No hard feelings. And so, yeah, from framework to close, last year, 35.5% of those converted.
It's pretty big jump.
Yeah.
And what, has anybody ever asked for the money back?
We've gotten 2 or 3, and they're usually just like, they were small, they just were like, you could just tell that they needed the money back. They were never gonna move forward, or, there's always something funky, and, like, I honestly don't care. I'd rather just refund it and be like, "Whatever, no big deal." Like, that's not what we're in the business of trying to sell, so.
So, have you started identifying what, like, a big mistake a lot of people make that I've seen is they're trying to qualify someone for the foot in the door. But when I'm chatting with them in like what we call the clarity call, that first free call, we're qualifying them for later on because anybody can afford the blueprint call,
Mhm.
especially with, or you the foot in the door call with, for 497 or 697, whatever the price is. And what we started doing when we started doing that, then we're like, oh, we got way more better people, right? We're not wasting our time. In the very beginning, I think you should do it for everyone just to get reps, right? Just like, just pumping that weight, get stronger, mess up on the ones that are never going to convert anyway, but work
Mhm.
to it that way. Did you, do you have a sense now of this person can afford the foot in the door, but they're never going to go with this later on?
Definitely. Yeah, and I think we took a similar approach. I mean, I just told the sales team, I was like, "Just book as many frameworks as you can, like, we just wanna get our reps in," like you said, because you wanna practice that framework process of taking people through, truly adding some value to them, like educating them, showing them where the opportunities are, and then, moving into the pitch from there, and converting the next step. But, yeah, at this point, I mean, if you're on that initial discovery call and you're like, "This is going nowhere," like, we're not trying to waste 2 hours of their time and our time if it's not going anywhere.
You know, what any kind of gotchas or things that you've learned through the process that you would do differently now?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like I don't know, when I look back on my journey, because it took me a long time to get out of day-to-day sales, and I think the first step really was, like, having a productized offering, because it was really tough, like, it's tough to train someone to build custom proposals for everyone,
Yeah.
so that wasn't gonna scale very well, um, and what that offer did for us was we got paid to build the custom proposal, which is the plan, that we're gonna do for them, and then the foot in the door that you guys suggested really, like, cinched the sales process together. Because what we realized is, like, we had the offer, I hired a sales guy, and that was my first time successfully having somebody else run through a full cycle sale and sell that offer without me, but it was like we had a discovery, and then there was just, like, a second call and a third call, and there was just no structure between call 1 and close, and so that's really what this step did, the paid step where you can really get somebody invested in wanting to spend time with you and solve their problem. Um, yeah, so I would say just having those clear steps in the sales process would be the you asked for a gotcha, but, like, as long as you have those, I feel like everything else is just little tweaks here and there, you're trying to improve, you're watching call recordings, giving feedback, but that was what really tied the rest of it together.
Yeah, and I think everyone's always tweaking it, right? Like, even with our process, we've been doing it for years and years. There's always little things that you can always kinda pick up on. I always tell everybody, always record those calls.
Yes.
And I'd always tell the client, I'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna record this so we can send this to you later on, because 'cause there'll be a lot of stuff that we don't talk to, and we'll send you the AI transcripts and all that kinda good stuff." But the main reason why we record is so us as a team can review, and we can
Mhm.
look at, "Well, how did you leave off on this one part?" And, like, what's that small little adjustment we can do? But like you said, it's all about figuring out that structure of, how do we qualify this prospect? Where do we move them to the next? And what are all those little milestones in order to build trust? Because the beauty about what you've done is you had a complex kind of process to talk to these salespeople, which was complex for the salesperson to come in, complex or a hard decision for the client because it was so risky, right? It's a lot of money. And then when you kind of start breaking it down with this, like, offering ladder, it makes it very simple for the salesperson. It makes it simple for the prospect to say yes, because there's low risk. You get to show value. You get to see, do I like this client? Like, have you gone through any of these processes? Be like, man, this client's a nightmare. Like, we're
Oh,
pulling the
totally.
trigger.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, if that I mean, if that 90 minutes is painful, then you know the rest of it's gonna be painful, so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome. Well, good. Well, I'm glad that all worked out for you. I'm excited for you guys to see what else you guys can do. I love that, it also saves you time too of all those different follow-ups. Is there anything, Spencer, that I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in right now?
one thing that we're just in the beginning stages of is actually playing around with the price point of the foot in the door, and
Mm.
we set it above, I think, where you guys had a range that you recommend,
Yeah, ours at
that kind of at
697.
the
Yeah.
upper end of that or something, but at 497, we basically are just looking at, we actually are currently looking for more throughput on our whole process, and so we're going, "Well, what if we change this to 197?" We still want them to pay, but just, like, on that call, I don't want them to be like, "Well, let me talk to the," because you still get that, it's funny. I think it's just, like, there's breakpoints in people's minds, and I mean, it's way too early to tell, but yesterday, we had the first day where we tried it at 197, and, I think there were, I don't know, 8 or 10 calls on the calendar, and 7 of them converted, and so it was like, "Oh, interesting." Again, way too early to tell if, where the averages will settle out, but we're gonna run that for 90 days and just look at that cohort of,
Yeah.
and see, like, what's the throughput there? Because we figured, if that goes up 50%, maybe the conversion rate from framework to close doesn't, maybe that goes down a little because you pull in a few more people that really you shouldn't have, but I think our overall throughput will go up. So it's important to kinda just keep looking at it and never feel like, "Oh, this is dialed in perfect."
Yeah, the other thing too, by having it a certain price, the one thing and let keep me posted on it because 'cause I'm interested on this, is if it's too low, then a non-decision maker can do it
Yes.
versus, if it's a like, 497's, like, depends on the type of companies you guys go after and all that kinda stuff, but if someone's like, "Oh, let me go check with the boss," I'm like, "Oh, why am I not talking to the boss now?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would never do a blueprint or a foot in the door for a non-decision maker, and if that decision maker wasn't present at the meeting, I would reschedule it because then you're just wasting your time, but that's interesting on because I always tell people the price really doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, it really does matter, not for the profit, right? Or revenue.
No, 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 but yeah, yeah, again, like, if that takes us from, 5 customers a month to 6 or 7 because we changed a $300 thing, like, it's so worth it, right? So, we'll see, TBD.
Yeah, no, I think everybody should test it out, like and then if you get too high and not many people are saying, like, back it down again, right? Like,
Yeah.
they have to value what you're doing too, right? And do you position when you go, "It's 497 or 197," be like, "Look, we're gonna be losing money on this." But, like, how do you position the 197 so they don't be like, "Oh, that's what they charge for 90 minutes."
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't know that we've ever really framed it. We just say this is what we charge for this process, and at the end, there are these 3 outcomes, right? You either got value and you know what you need to do next, you wanna hire us for the next step, or, you didn't get any value and we'll refund you. So, but yeah, I think, that's interesting. I'm not sure. I'll think about that a little.
Yeah, you should, because what I always tell people is, "Look, we charge 697 for this agency blueprint. We're not making any money on it, and we're just doing it to make sure that you're serious because people are gonna pay attention more, if you pay for something,
Mhm.
right? But don't think my hourly rate is 697. It's well above that." Like, I just preface that so then they're not shocked
Yeah.
when you go
When they get
to the $20,000 project. Be like, "Whoa, I thought that was gonna be 5,000 or $1,000 or something," right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, because you want people to pay and move forward, but you also want them to know that, yeah, there's more on the back end.
or let me give you a deal. We normally charge this up. What you may wanna try, do you send them to a landing page, like an easy checkout page, or do you take their information or what
We do an easy checkout page, and yeah, we've been basically, the way we're positioning this new pricing is, "Hey, it's 497, but I've got this code for you, and you can knock it down to 197."
you may wanna position it at 1,500 and then position 197, like, they're getting the steal after you qualify them though, right? Like,
Sure.
I'm just going in my head now, right? Like, that would work really well for you.
Yeah, yeah, I think, well, we'll run this test first, and then we'll jack up the back end price and
Yeah.
let's see how.
$10,000, but
Yeah.
act now and get 2 katsu knives and a
But
vacuum cleaner.
I think it is nice as a sales tool in your back pocket to be like, "But if you're ready now, I can give you a code and we can just check out," you know?
Yeah,
Um, some of that is a little, I mean, you're like, "Are you really gonna honor that?" Like, if they say no now, then are you gonna hold your original pricing? So, like, we try to hold
that's
hold true to the, ethical, like, this is what we're gonna do. So, right now, we're basically just saying, "Hey, I have this code," and, we're not saying, like, they have to sign up on the call, but,
yeah,
yeah, so far so good.
that's good. Yeah, I mean, I always hate when people do the false urgency.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy, and I think people can see through it too,
They can feel it, yeah.
right? Yeah, if you're like, "Hey, if you're ready now," on the call, like, a lot of times when we're on our clarity calls, we're like, "Hey, if you wanna do this now, it's this," right? Like, just tell them. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Awesome. Well, everything's a test. Thanks so much, Spencer, for coming back on the show, sharing kind of success. And if you guys need more help with your foot in the door and your offering ladder, reach out. Go to agencymastery.io, click that little scale button, and we'll jump on a call and you can see how our process works and how we can help your agency be more profitable, stop wasting time, fix a lot of those profit leaks, and make more profit without cutting costs, which is always a good thing. So until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.